Hello, friends, and welcome to week 17 of Sacred Journeys. This week, I wanted to reflect upon an important spiritual practice that has different names, but I'm going to call it mirroring. Mirroring is the understanding and the experience of recognizing that how we are affects those around us. It also affects ourselves within us. I was talking recently to a good friend of mine, and we were talking about how when we're in a situation and we make a quote unquote big deal about something, in other words, if we get agitated, we get anxious, concerned, nervous, that the other person will join us in that they will reflect back, they will mirror to us what we are experiencing. And it's actually a true spiritual practice to be able to stay centered into our own selves, our own rootedness and centeredness, and not mirror other people. The ability to stay connected to how we actually are inside, to that still point, to that place of clarity and serenity, or certainly a calm knowing, even if the knowing has some energy behind it, even if the knowing is with conviction. There's a difference between when the waters in us are still and when the inside of us is turbulent. So how we are, will often be then mirrored to us by others. That's one side of this. And the other side is to recognize that without consciousness, we will it's human nature to mirror what another person is doing. You see this in babies, right? It's called mimemic theory, where a baby, if you smile, they smile. If you hide and then come back out, they laugh. They are mirroring what you are doing, and they are actually internalizing in that who they are. So that's something important to remember, that not only do people mirror each other, but they learn from others without even understanding this consciously who they are. They learn if they are understood, they learn if they're accepted, they learn if they're valued and appreciated. So the spiritual practice this week is all around this concept of mirroring. And there are multiple ways I just encourage us to practice this. One of them is to simply begin to be very aware of how you know when you are rooted within yourself, when you are connected to your own inner sanctum, if you will, which may sound ironic, but the more we can do that, the more present we are for others. It's the opposite of one might think, that the more we are able to sort of really be in another's experience, the more connected we were, the more compassionate. In fact, that's called blending. That's where it gets very confusing and is not in the place and the ability where we can be fully compassionate and present. So the first thing is to learn, what does it feel like? How do I experience knowing that I am deeply connected within myself? There are clues about that, by the way. Are you curious about something? Are you without an agenda? Those are some signs that will tell us when we're within ourselves. So knowing that, then we can return to that knowing of how we are when we're connected within ourselves, to recognize when we're moving away from that, when we're losing that connection, and we are either responding to things around us. We are mirroring what's happening around us. We are, reflecting the same anxiety we're watching on television or hearing from a coworker at work, or whether we're able to stay in our own center while this is happening around us. Another thing that is beautiful and that is a spiritual practice is to use this ability for good. So, in other words, consciously mirror goodness to the rest of the world. When you see someone, smile. When you come into a room and you see people, look like you're happy to see them. Look them in the eyes. Smile. Say, "How are you? It's so good to see you." Recognize that how we are is giving other people and creatures information all the time. So, a practice of mirroring goodness to the world, mirroring goodness to the people you pass on the street, pausing and catching someone's eye in the grocery store and just smiling, being outside in nature and appreciating the beauty that you see, looking at water, a lake, a river, an ocean, and contemplating the mirror that's you're seeing in that water. So the practice this week is mirroring, recognizing that we have the power to be a positive mirror of goodness, and that we also have the power to stay connected to our own inner selves and not unconsciously begin to mirror what others and other forces around us are doing, especially when it is out of alignment with how we want to be. So it is something that is transformative once we practice this. We can use it with people, we can use it with animals, we can use it with people we don't know and people we're in contact with every day. It does require practice and it does require intention. So perhaps on the days ahead, you can begin with a simple practice of reflecting upon yourself, of acknowledging the power within yourself, and of choosing to enter your day with a consciousness of the mirror that you are. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.